Welcome to White People, Black Music, and Liberation. I'm Eric, and I'm here on the journey with you. This is a transmission at the intersection of race, music, and spirituality. It's about moving past the programming and into liberation. I didn't get involved in the music industry until my 30s. Before that, I studied and played music all my life, but it wasn't really until then that I started gigging. And so it was a slow, eye-opening experience to see how segregated the music industry is. And I still carry a bit of that shock with me because maybe I haven't sat with it for as long as some other people have who got started earlier. When you consider how much black music has shaped the sort of the tenor, the general tenor of music in this country, it's really striking that most of the gatekeepers are still white. And that's just been a very interesting and telling situation to sit with. And so that's the context that we bring to this conversation with my friend Winter Williams. So Winter actually came over to our house for this one, and a quick apology up front. There's lots of car noise where we live, and I'm still figuring out how to best record a 2-person setup, so just bear with me on that. And the lead into the conversation is a bit awkward. We had a nice, clean intro. Hi, how are you? Kind of scheduled, but some of the warm-up conversation was really good too, so I added a little bit of that in there also. And then for context on how Winter and I know each other, well, Winter has produced events with our band Orchestra Gold, and most recently Winter stepped in and really just helped organize our album release show last October at 7th West in Oakland. And if you've ever worked with her, Winter's amazing. Calm, collected, organized, wise, intelligent. She just brings it, and she knows what she's doing. So, without further ado, here's my conversation with Winter Williams.
It's kind of a balance. It's very easy to just get in a thing where we just... It's like telling it how it is, but not like accusing people and like inviting reflection rather than just like a debate, Like, oh, that's not how it is. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. I have no interest in battling. What is appealing about this is normalizing having a conversation, an exchange of ideas without trying to force one another, recruit,
Yeah.
Like, I just want to get to where we can acknowledge something out loud and practice listening, and we can challenge each other without forcing something. In general, tender topics need a practice of learning how to listen and then say what we're thinking and let it go from there and let it, and see what happens next.
Yeah.
And not get swept up in the drama
Yeah.
or the divide.
Yeah.
'Cause we just need to practice talking to each other.
Yeah, I love that.
And articulating our thoughts and our feelings around anything tender, and racism is one of the most loaded, intense, generational ones out there, gender and other.
Yeah.
Capitalism, some of these biggies, religion.
I love that.
In general, most of us need to practice this.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah. And just practicing having the conversation and holding the nuance of it and not I love how you framed that. There's a lot of merit in that just because it is so... It's really difficult, and I know for me when I talk about these things, like a lot of fear comes up. And it's I talk about this a lot with the other people, but it's like it's oftentimes fear of like how progressive folks will look at me, which is kind of weird, or not what I would expect, you know? Like, I'm not worried about offending the Nazis. But yeah.
Yeah, I realized early on in my community work, like activism, that the ones I really needed to watch closely who were the ones that supposedly were allies.
Yeah.
That my true obstacle in facilitating being part of change was not the people on the other side of the picket line. It was the ones next to me.
Yeah, that's
because I was part of a very intensive, like, consensus driven community organizing effort, statewide effort, and realized, like, over and over the undoing was coming from within the group. That we were our own worst enemy. You almost didn't need anybody on the opposite side because we would sabotage it all on our own.
That's so interesting. Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
So that's most of the time where my attention is.
Yeah.
The folks that supposedly are awake.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times they're sounding and looking exactly like the people say they supposedly are opposing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
just
really
different
tempting
outfit
to get into stories right now about examples of that, but I'm going to resist that.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So with that said, like, hi, Winter. How are you doing?
Hi, Eric.
Good to see you here and have this conversation with you. Do you want to tell us a little bit about, like, the vantage point from which you're coming? What sorts of experiences do you have in the music industry that leads you to this conversation?
Well, I began my life in the arts through the media of dance.
Okay.
From a little girl, and then ended up in theater, and reached a point when I needed to decide if I was going to proceed professionally as a performer. And I was looking around at my friends, the writers, directors, dancers, singers, you know, and realized that I really didn't like being in the spotlight. And so I was looking around at the other roles, but I love the community and everything else about it. So I started to learn production and in a variety of capacities: box office, stagehand, set design, promotion, you know, dispersing handbills. I've been like a bouncer at a front door, like a barker, you know, almost everything you could do. A house manager, front house manager, stage manager. So I had some experience with that in my early 20s, and then ended up going into finance. And so stepped away from production, art event related production, to do finance and business lending and underwriting and compliance and different things. But I had a lot of artists in my life, not professionals, but a lot of music in my home, a lot of dance, all of that continued. And as I reached a point after raising my kids and stabilizing my financial life, I realized I needed to walk away from that. I had accomplished what I could from inside the system, and I walked away. And the first place that received me, again, were events and arts. I was healing. I went to a lot of shows. I started to watch how many people were showing up, what's going on with the staff, and just kind of tune back in to the realm. I hadn't worked in the Bay Area or in the East Bay for events. And so about 10 years ago, I started dabbling, hosting house concerts, farming myself out in production roles, because I have a diverse range of skills, fairly unique. And I just kind of started gravitating to the projects that resonated with me and the people. And now I am helping to co-found and produce a festival, a funk festival, and also working with a small 200 capacity venue and doing some shows there, and still farming myself out in various production assistant, consultant, stage manager roles. And I dig it.
Yeah.
I dig
it. It is
it.
Exciting.
It's not for everybody.
It's not for everybody. It's a lot of work.
Yeah. And we could go into like what kind of who is drawn to this work. You know, it's like a lot of hurry up and wait and fire drills and scrambling to gather resources. It's often there's not enough money to go around. There's, you know, where's the gear coming from? Just logistics. And uniquely, I'm well suited for that. I have an ability to see all the facets of what's going on. I may not be an expert at them, but I know enough to understand what a healthy situation versus unhealthy or something's not getting dealt with.
Yeah.
And then I call it minding the gap. It's like, what's missing?
Yeah.
I'm not trying to get involved in something that's flowing well and one of our subject matter experts is leading it. It's like, then I just cheerlead and say, what do you need? You know? But then sometimes you can see there's a gap that's missing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I spend a lot of time zeroing in on that and trying to help the overall project get to the next point so it can continue flowing.
Yeah. That's such an important skill too, because it's like in this environment of music where everyone's doing everything, there's just like a lot of things that you don't know and you kind of step in. And I know you did that so beautifully at our album release show. That was really, really awesome. Thank you for helping us with that so much.
You're welcome.
I was thinking it may be kind of fun to just start with like an obvious question that if you don't work in music, you may not think about. But like, is the conversation of racism still relevant today in the music industry?
Well, I'm sure if you asked a range of people, you'd get a lot of different answers. But I say yes, absolutely. As much as ever. As much as ever. And a shocking number of people just don't talk about it. And when somebody brings it up, it can be like the reactions are often defensive or resistant.
Resistance.
There may be some pretense like, oh yeah, of course, you know, like conciliatory, you know, like, oh yes, of course that's important, but then they roll on because they don't really want to get into it, but they also don't want to go on record as acknowledging that they don't want to deal with you know. So then there's like, but we don't have time for that, or that doesn't fit in this situation, or there's often reasons that are given, or whether they're spoken or revealed through actions, to suggest that this isn't a time or place to get into that.
Yeah.
Which I disagree with. I think it's always the time and place to acknowledge, like, who's here? Who's part of this? Who's contributing? Who's going to be served by it? Who's missing?
Yeah.
Also, like, what voice is missing? Like, I start to get slightly concerned when there's too much agreement, because then it becomes clearly unsafe for anybody to say, actually, I disagree with this. Yeah. Unless they're the kind of person who gets off on being the devil's advocate and just likes to roll around, you know, throwing controversial things in the mix because they get off on that energy. And often I feel like, well, that person's not actually really interested in that topic. They just like serving that role of giving everybody a noogie, you know, to like.
There's definitely people like that.
But absolutely, because we have, you know, anytime there are groups of people in the community, you know, from on the creative side or the production side, the worker bee side or the audience side that are missing, that are in the surrounding community, and you would think would be part of it and aren't, something's up.
Yeah. So that's probably a good one to start with, but I was going to just ask you, so it sounds like a lot of sweeping under the rug around, oh, we don't have to talk about this right now, or we're in too much of a time crunch or whatever. But what are some of the most common ways that you see it come up in the work environment? Like, where is racism really like a factor in how things look in the music industry?
That's a great question. I realize this may not fit in editing wise, but I wanted to get just one more thing to acknowledge, which kind of affects this next question, is providing lip service. That piece, a lot of folks know what to say, and they'll say it, but they don't mean it. And I know I alluded to that before, but it's a little different than being oppositional. It's more like they've learned shorthand or code switching or whatever. But there's not much to what they're saying. You know, it's fluff. But it sounds good.
That's
you know?
Interesting, yeah.
And some people even coast on, you know, they're a great deliverer of the message. But when you pull back the curtain as to what's actually coming from it, or it's not effective. And then there's then there's other situations where people aren't stepping to the mic, aren't incredibly eloquent, but they're actually making huge strides to affect change. It's just they're not doing it for show. They're not trying to shine out of it. They're sincerely focused on addressing the root elements of racism. And so getting in your question you just asked, I feel like it's hiring, you know, it's the sharing of resources, the movement of money, you know. Racism is integrally woven into capitalism or financial gain. And that's what it came from. You know, how to control a large group of people and use them for the benefit of a very small group of people. And that still is happening to this day. There's a scarcity mindset around resources, and that we're competing, and that we need these old systems of privilege, you know, to give small groups of people the best chance at getting their needs met. And a myth that it's not possible to meet a larger group of people's needs. Somebody's going to lose. And that's as alive and well today as it ever has been, in my opinion. So anytime we look at a creative project, it's like, where's the art coming from? You know, the creative source, like, is that person okay? Are they getting what they need? You know, are they somebody who has been getting enough exposure? Like, do people know about them, and why not? Or these other people, like, why is there so many predominantly white male bands getting a majority of the gigs? You know, and that's normal. And accepted. Why aren't we all talking about that? And it's nothing against, you know, amazing white male musicians, good humans and all, but is it appropriate for one group of our creative community to get the majority of these gigs? Or the same when it comes to the hiring, you know, audio technicians, lighting, production, you know, staff. And then why are more technical roles traditionally given to men? And the more feminine roles in the production, like fashion, hospitality, ambiance, marketing. Why is that predominantly female? There's so much to say.
Lots of assumptions about gender being made there, and race, and so I was having a random conversation a couple of months ago with someone in my family who I don't normally talk about stuff like this with, and I'm not really sure where they're at in terms of their thinking about racism and all these structural things. But I was telling them that, oh yeah, this podcast is about racism in the music industry. And they're like, oh, what does that mean? And I was like, oh, it's just kind of unpacking the racism that's inherent in. And she's like, oh, do you mean like most of the music coming from black people? And she thought that, she basically thought that like black people run the music industry because of how much music comes from black people. And she thought that that was what I was trying to talk about. And it's like, so maybe for some people it's a shock to hear that the vast majority of the gigs, especially in festivals, go to like mostly white bands with mostly men in them, you know? And then, giving technical positions to men over women. I mean, what do you think? And you talked about some of like, I think, what are the limiting beliefs or the assumptions about reality that are leading to those. But maybe if you could just break it down a little bit more concretely, what forces make those outcomes?
Nepotism. I don't know. Like, that's not a word I use very often, but if I'm recalling what that means, it's like people hire who tend to want to work with people they are comfortable with and know in their circuit, and not a lot of folks are going to put in more energy to expand their network, you know, and hold off on filling a spot with somebody they know that they can count on, that they've worked before and they're comfortable with, and go look for somebody they don't know that they may not be comfortable working with because it's just unfamiliar, and hold that spot and then say, wait, yeah, you're right, this person and that person, we do this all together, let's just do it all together again. You know, and intentionally tend to something such as like a disparity of representation. And then the piece about Black music, and you know, I hesitated to feel whether I have anything to contribute to your podcast, like whether I'm worthy to. And one thing is like, funk is a genre, you know, that I love and that I'm deeply involved with now, organizing this event, and its roots are very distinctly from a time period of social injustice and an expression of a lot of big concepts of what wasn't going right at the time, while also embracing joy and realizing you can't make it through if you can't access your joy and can't still celebrate, and modeling the integration of those things, and that is going to empower us and keep us going, because there's a lot of work to do, and this is not going to change even in our lifetime. And anybody who really gets racism and change and what's at stake, this is a multi-generational, you know, crusade or whatever. I don't know about the use about that word, but effort, campaign, you know, movement. And that that isn't going to get where we want it to get in our lifetime. And so we got it but in the meantime, we're alive, and there's all this. And that was very clearly, primarily coming from a community of Black musicians, jazz artists and R&B, and James Brown was like an epic figure in that turning point. And yet here now in modern times, it's like that music has evolved in a lot of different directions. And we haven't done a great job of like honoring the legacy artists beyond a few individuals or a few bands. But there were so many more. Yeah. that expanded, and then you had like some really wild existential stuff around the mothership, and it goes on, and then we had some like mind-opening substances entering into the mix that really helped people like think beyond our boundaries at the time. And so fast forward now, it's like we're doing this funk festival, and it's like we really wanted legacy artists, and we really like want diversity, and we go to start booking and seeing who's out there, and then working with the agents, and it's just like there's this such a powerful force of just wave of whiteness. It's just and fending that off and staying awake to it, and not just going with what's normal. It's like, because the status quo is the force that has been, it's been in motion for so long that it's really formidable to go up against. Yeah. And especially if one wants to do it in a soft way, in a community connecting way, and not rolling around, forcing and fighting. Yeah. And ranting, which I just have never found to be a very effective strategy for change. You might very temporarily get what we supposedly wanted, but in the long run, we haven't moved anywhere, and we might have even set ourselves back, with that kind of...
I understand, yeah.
So...
That's a big thought. Maybe we can unravel that a little bit more, too, but... I think this is a bit of a subtext of what you're saying, but I'm just genuinely curious. You think it's mostly subconscious forces that are driving these outcomes of like whoever's the talent buyer for the festival? Like, do you think whatever processes they're doing that result in them just booking mostly white bands for this funk festival? And I'm not saying that's exactly what happened there, but that happens a lot. And so let's just say it's an imaginary festival where that happens. Do you think most of this is unconscious on the part of the talent buyer, or could some of this be conscious also?
There's probably a small percentage of people who know very well what they're doing. It's tactical. They're transactional in nature, so it's just normal. They realize it, they see it, and they're okay with it. It works for them, and that's all there is to it. The more relational type of folks who do care about others and the impact, and but aren't making much headway in regards to changing, doing something about it. I think for those of us in that mode around this topic, where there's a lot of willful blindness is a term that I use. And that's where accountability is really important, and talking about things out loud. So it's like there is consciousness there, but whether it's in their day-to-day discourse, whether they've integrated it into their everyday personality and their work and their home life and their family, is another thing. Like there's a good example for white people is like we all have somebody in our family who's really at the other end of the spectrum ideologically, and that if they weren't our family and our loved one, we wouldn't want anything to do with them. But because they are, different rules apply, and most of us recognize like we're communal beings, and we can't burn all the bridges,
right?
Or we're not gonna get fed. We're gonna get left behind by the pack, and we won't get our needs met. And then there's also the connection. We need connection and care and whatnot, and writing everybody off, even when they're close to us, and there's already love and a bond there, because we have a disconnect. It's like a very dangerous thing to do. You do that in your family, and then you end up doing that on a larger scale in your house, your neighborhood, your city, your state, and then we're done.
Yeah, totally.
So getting back to like how we interact with these people in our families and talk about it, it's like that's where I feel is our front lines,
Yeah, totally.
It's not on the street. On like in protests or whatever.
That's super relevant. And it sounds like you're alluding to that's relevant too for how to work with this dynamic inside of the workplace in music too. Yeah. Because
a lot of these people become your friends. Like they're not, the most artists, it's like this is a joy and a passion and work. There's a lot of folks who it's just their job. They don't feel a connection to it.
Really?
But most... No, I don't mean in music. I'm saying in
outside
other professional spheres.
Sure.
There might be, I just happen to learn this skill and I just do this skill.
Yeah.
But it's not my joy. It doesn't bring me passion. Whereas in the arts, there's this kind of common understanding, like most of us are signing up to live at a lower economic level, and sacrifice certain things that we may otherwise have access to if we had made other choices, because it fulfills us.
Yeah.
Like I personally feel like music is the closest thing I'd have to a religion. I strongly feel like it's gotten me through incredibly hard times in my life. I can't imagine how I would have made it without music.
Totally.
So it's
totally
to have it integrate into my professional life is like a very intentional choice, and the same is true from what I can tell for most of the rest of us. And still we're struggling, but that becomes our community.
Totally.
And then it's hard to talk to your community and be like, hey, like why, and again, look around the room, who's missing?
Yeah.
Can we talk about it?
Yeah, totally.
And then there's like this reaction of like, oh, you said it. Like you said it out loud.
Yeah.
And
Well, that goes to another interesting place. So like say I am a talent buyer, for example, that does want to change things. What obstacles do I run up against?
One of them is status quo. There are certain like held beliefs that things are a certain way because that's the best way, and so we're going to stick with it. And that practice is not frequently questioned. It's like, is it really? Looking at the results and the numbers, and it's like, is it really still the same way, or is it just the familiar way? It's like, are you holding on, like bell bottoms or something? It's like, are you holding on waiting for bell bottoms to come back? Because that could be like 15 years, And so I think status quo is a big thing, because the margins are so slim. So many people are barely financially, sustaining their lives, that there's not a lot of margin for taking chances. And it's human nature to default to what might work versus try something that doesn't. And here is an example.
Yes.
Directly pertains to you and I when we first worked together, I think, with the show at a small venue, in the East Bay. And the audience that Orchestra Gold drew was not, weren't a lot of drinkers
Yeah.
of alcohol or of non-alcohol beverages.
Yeah.
So the bar didn't do well.
Yeah.
And
Oh, right. Yeah.
the bar did not do well. And in my particular case, it's like you have the door deal is split between the promoter or producer and the band. Maybe the venue gets a portion of that or not. In my case, they didn't. I covered hard costs of staff, sounded, door, and then the bar is where the venue is going to make their piece.
Right.
And that's a pretty favorable, equitable model that not everybody's willing to do. So I felt very fortunate. It had to do with the relationship that was even possible.
Yeah.
But then, because I didn't realize at the time what a big deal the bar was. And then when it came to, like, how do we work again? How do we have another show at that venue? It's like, then we need the non-alcohol beverages to do better.
Yeah.
And that takes intentional effort. And then there was conversation with the venue of, like, what can we have more non-alcohol, more CBD beverages or some special, cultural beverage that has to do with the music and for them, it's like, no, this is like, we don't have the bandwidth for that. We have a mocktail, we have this, that's what we have we can pick up a few more hop waters or something. And that was a very real behind the scenes element to that show that would impact the booking of, music that doesn't draw an audience that drinks a lot of alcohol or spends much at the bar.
Yeah.
So it's like, what do you do about that? Either don't book the band or come up with a solution. And not the majority of people, from what I can tell, are going to go with what's comfortable or at ease, and they're just going to not try. And then there's a small percentage of folks those of us who are wired to look over the hill into the unknown and be like, I believe. I don't know how we're going to do it, but we're going to do it. And we're going to try.
Yeah.
But that's a minority of people.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, it sounds like there's a lot of obstacles, and it seems like a lot of them are economic.
Well, yeah, that's why I tie this back to which is why that's the root of racism. Is is power, the abuse of power to hoard resources, to exploit one population or multiple populations to hoard resources for a small group of people.
Yeah, that's totally.
That's what's it's going to be the money over almost every time.
Yeah.
If treating people well was profitable, that can be shown to work. Yeah. And it could catch on, and if there was a greater impact when people don't treat folks well, like, why is Amazon still, running amok? We all know the harm that's being done. Yeah. If more people just stopped, and said, no, fix your stuff. Yeah. Fix your stuff. We're done. We're not that dependent on you. Or even if it was reduced to the people who really couldn't get their goods some other way, and everybody else who has a choice. Yeah. Boycotted. Yeah. Like, we would see greater change faster. Yeah, totally. And the same applies, to the arts. I'm not going to pick on music even. It's really the arts. Right. And there's this, unfortunately, this long-standing belief that, like, art is an essential. Right. It's a nice to have, not a must have, which is insane because nobody wants that. What livens up the room at the wedding? Yeah. It's when the music comes on, Yeah. It's we all need it. So it is essential, but we've gotten into this practice of it being supported by patrons, who have money to spare, or alcohol, or like corporate sponsors or something like that, and that's okay. And there's no way for the arts and sphere to cash flow itself.
Yeah. A predominant. Yeah. One thing I'm curious about is I'm understanding some of these like larger picture situations that just make the arts hard in general, but it does seem like there's also a risk that like a festival, for example, has of being too white. Because I think deep down, like, nobody really wants festival bills to be all white. Like, I think even white people ourselves want to see black artists play music, Have you seen examples of places where maybe like white artists playing black music versus black artists, like white artists get more traction? Like, is there, like, all else equal, why wouldn't a talent buyer, and I realize I didn't define that term. If you're not in the music industry, a talent buyer is like the person making decisions behind the festival bookings, or it could be a venue or whatever. But is there a sense that like that's more palatable, like a white band playing black music versus a black band, or like?
I don't feel qualified to answer that because I can't relate to that mindset. I'm not normal. So I can't get into that headspace.
Right.
It's probably a better question for like a booking agent that's dealing with on the artist side. Yeah. Rather than a programming person who's hiring.
Totally.
But I can say it's kind of complicated. It's partly relationships. Mm-hmm. It can be quite contentious, the negotiation between bookers and between both sides. And it's, unfortunately, many of you may not know this, but it's a lot like car sales, and even in the car sales realm, it's like the used car sales version of car sales. Of that reality, which it can be super transactional. There's not a lot of care for what's going on for the other person, what their objectives are, what do they need to be okay? What do they need to have joy? There's not even like an acknowledgement of how grueling things can be for the artists. There's just like filling these dates. And if they could technically get from point A to point B, they'll get booked to, on this physically grueling, sequence of events when they're also then expected to go on a stage and be a creative.
And shine.
Be
bright, yeah.
And then walk off the stage and get in a van and drive 10 hours to sleep 4 hours to get, it's just that all of that is out and it gets strictly to numbers and logistics. And there's a lot of people who just deal with other folks that are like that, and they don't slow down to take some time and they're just trying to rep their artist, to book in their spot, to get their coin, to get to the next thing.
Yeah, totally.
And I'm not saying that there aren't any people who are trying to do things differently, but those of us who are still dealing with this status quo beast that I was referring to earlier, of interacting with folks who don't get it. And so that's something I can't share. That's real. I can't think of any circumstances where a white band that I'm exposed to, this is a Bay Area, and so that definitely wouldn't go over. Like, we do, like, if you live in the immediate Bay Area, you choose to be in a diverse setting, because you don't have to move too far outside the Bay Area to find more homogenous communities. So most of us are here intentionally, and that conveys we want more diverse food. We want diverse music, museums, and
Sure.
that's why.
Yeah. And it's not to say that the dynamics don't exist here, but there is, to your point earlier, but there's probably more value placed on that here. I mean, so from your vantage, can you talk a little bit more about how much influence the artists themselves really have in these sorts of situations?
Around the programming, or what do you mean?
I mean, an artist is like technically an integral part of the festival because their names are being used to promote the festival and presumably to like help sell tickets and all this other stuff. Yeah, you're describing these very transactional like used car salesman deals that are going on behind the scenes. Like if an artist has certain values that they don't feel the festival is representing, do they have leverage to actually like enforce that?
Only if there's people who care about them and will listen. In a lot of situations, there's nobody in the core decision-making crew who's paying much attention to that.
Mm-hmm.
So there's definitely space.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that way because it's not possible.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I do hear from artists and also production staff who work events that it's not common or normal for their well-being to be inquired about or tended to or cared about, And all the times there's these little ways, some are subtle, some are not subtle, of a lack of intention or care for the well-being of these people showing up and what it means to be creative, for an artist to be able to access that part of themselves. Or like on the production side, some of these people are working like 16, 20-hour days.
Yeah.
For a week. I'm going to go work a festival as a support person. I'll be there a week. We'll have easily 12 hours plus days for a week.
Wow.
And in some cases, like, people don't have a decent place to sleep. They don't get fed well. They might have to pay for parking or, certain essential things to get there,
Yeah.
And that's, there's lots of us that can do that for short term, but how do you do that in the long term and not end up harming yourself?
Yeah. Yeah.
Or being reliant on drugs.
Yeah.
And alcohol.
Yeah.
Or smoking to let off stress or whatever.
It's not a healthy environment.
It's not.
Yeah.
It takes a concerted effort to bring wellness into the mix. And there are a lot of people trying to make headway around that.
Mm-hmm.
But we're up against what long-standing norms of consuming creatives and consuming working class labor, skilled labor.
Yeah.
That's accepted.
Yeah.
And it's not. And I think if more people understood what's going on, like, they would agree and they wouldn't want it to be that way if there was a choice.
Yeah.
But then there's like, do they understand that means buy your ticket, not at the last minute,
Yeah.
Or don't, haggle about that $20 difference, which enables a living wage to be paid.
Yeah.
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 Because the true value of that experience being consumed is far beyond
The ticket.
what the ticket price is.
Yeah.
And when it's distorted, folks don't really understand the market value of what they're engaging with. Because usually something's been subsidized in some way that probably somebody's getting hurt.
Yeah.
Somebody's not getting their needs met.
Yeah.
And that's, again, that's at the root of racism
Yeah.
is an acceptance that that's okay. Mm-hmm. That some people matter more than other people. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And if someone doesn't buy into the like core value that is fake news, mm-hmm. Then we're kind of stuck in what we can accomplish. Like,
yeah. It does seem like there's a lot of inertia heading in that direction, and that it's gotten worse over time as the margins have just gotten thinner and thinner. I remember watching like an interview with Jimmy Page, the guitar player for Led Zeppelin, and he was saying from the first tour that they went on in the United States, like there was just like they could just never tour enough to satiate the demand for their performances. Like they would play 3 nights and they would all sell out, and then they just have to move on because they just couldn't keep up with everything. It was like a fundamentally different time when, but not that era was perfect or a golden age or anything like that. It's just that it was different. I'm like wondering, are there bright spots? Are there hopeful things? Are there like examples of this working that you're excited about seeing?
Oh yeah. There's a lot of rebels out there. There's a lot of like, we're hustlers. Like most of us, we have figured out like we're not going to make it if that's our only gig. So for example, I have a doggy daycare on the side, know, and I realize this will only work if my basic needs are met, through other sources. And almost all of us do more than 2 things.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know anybody who's just doing one thing, you know?
Yeah.
Most of us have multiple income streams and are very resilient and resourceful. And culturally, there's more of an awareness around, like, taking care of ourselves. And that it's going to look differently for each of us. Mm-hmm. And I'm seeing, since COVID, especially, we went through profound isolation and learned that a bunch of stuff we thought mattered a lot to us matters far less now.
Totally.
And we're still sorting that out, what that means. And that people, I'm observing, like, with this hunger for meaning and purpose, that once upon a time or before might have been reserved for like really young adults or people in their midlife crisis or whatever, people at their end of life stage, we're bringing that lens. And now it just feels like more and more and more people want meaning and care and are less willing to go along with the status quo. Yeah. And are questioning in their own ways. Yeah. Their routines, how they spend their money, who they hang out with, how they conduct themselves. Yeah. And like an essential component of this is talking about it, acknowledging it. And that's why I'm excited for what you're doing, because you are modeling being tender. You're looking at yourself all the time. You took on one of the toughest topics of our species, racism, and then one, that matters greatly to the most people, like such a large group of people, is music. I mean, we started making music around the fire, like we made a fire and there was music. I don't know, maybe there was even music while someone was learning how to play fire, but they were definitely in there together and have always been there, so, I mean, what you're doing is amazing.
Thank you.
The people I'm working with on this funk festival are amazing. There's so much inspiration. And that's like why we have to be able to stay in tune with our joy. Yeah. I love it. As like, whether we consider ourselves like a warrior, an activist, a change agent, like whatever our ways of framing what we're trying to bring to our life, while we're here. Yeah. Joy is essential. Yeah, totally. So I'm getting inspired all the time. And also recognizing when I see some stuff going on that I don't want to be part of, I no longer have this young punk rock like I got to rage and, make a scene. Now it's like, the most powerful thing I could do is like not, and I'm not talking about turning a blind eye to something. It's more just recognizing like that I'm going to take my energy and I'm going to put it towards something powerful that is going to grow and show this person who I think would do it differently if they knew how. I'm going to count on them paying attention.
Yeah.
And anybody who I think is part of a movement that's got some legs to it is really, is viable, is like, oh, people are watching all the time. What are you up to? How's that going? And then even if a project, whatever it is, kind of tapers out, that most of the time there's some element that when it turned into something else, whether it followed that person, it transforms. It's energy. It's not lost.
Yeah.
And things are connecting to each other, but I still feel like there's this basic struggle of just like we're getting in our own way a lot of times.
Yeah.
No, we don't even need an enemy because it's like again, we're generations into this.
Yeah.
That the chains were removed a long time ago. But we carry them with us.
Yeah.
and or do it to each other in our own family units, our intimate relationships.
Yeah.
It's like nobody's coming along and saying, treat this loved one that way or this coworker or don't have that conversation. It's like we are making those choices ourselves.
Yeah. Well, I love that answer because it's like kind of finding the change within ourselves. And thank you for the really kind words. I really appreciate that.
Well, I know I'm a tender, strong person too. So I was like, I know what it takes.
Yeah.
Just because we do it doesn't mean it's any easier for us than somebody else. It's just we got what it takes or whatever and the focus to do it.
Yeah.
And it's a lift.
Yeah.
Totally. It's a lift.
Yeah. Are there practical things that you could suggest to someone who's listening to this and maybe wants to start thinking about how they can work to use whatever platform they have to like decolonize or make the status quo like more about like liberation, more about inclusivity, more about accountability for like whiteness and all the impacts that that's caused?
I think that practicing acknowledging it calmly, peacefully is going to be important. So we can normalize it.
Yeah.
And we just be like, hey, before we make this decision, whatever it is, like, is there another way to look at this that we might be missing? Like, we can pause for 5 minutes to be like, is there another way to look at this? Do we have the diverse thought, input of information or perspective to make the decision that we want to make around this? So just slowing down and pausing and building that in. And then also like kind of expanding our networks. When we recognize that there's a disparity, or just pausing to be like, why? Just curious. Let's learn around this. Is it because this group of people know each other and they work on all the gigs together? And we're waiting for someone to move before a spot becomes open. I've heard from some folks that are in underrepresented groups on the tech side that just asking that question, like just the fact that I'm like, hey, who do you know? That maybe wouldn't normally be getting this gig, and is she or they, for example, and they're like, just the fact that you're asking is progress, because normally nobody even, they're just rolling.
Yeah.
And it's not to cause harm, but it's the norm.
Yeah.
And so I feel like if we start asking, who do you know? And then we have a wider network of people and we try working with each other, cross-pollinate production crews, in all the realms of the events.
Yeah.
Let's just cross-pollinate more.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be like, nobody has to be left out. I believe there's enough work for, granted, there's always like competitions, like who do patrons want to see,
Yeah.
That's ultimately going to drive any organized music event. But a lot of times it's like the audience could be diversified too.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's, festival audiences can be pretty darn white.
Yeah.
And why is that? Is it the cost? Is it the location? Is it the marketing? These seem connected to me.
Yeah.
I hope
Definitely.
that the way I'm articulating it makes sense, but it's involving pause and questions and conversations.
Yeah.
And then if somebody gets really bent out of shape just by that, that's a big red flag.
Yeah. Yeah.
That needs to be considered.
Yeah.
Because that's an active resistance to just looking at something.
Yeah. Yeah.
And my hope is that if there's a group of people who want to be intentional, and then there's people on the team who are actively opposing, that gets back to the devil's advocate, or the folks that are messing with the mojo. It's like, that needs to be dealt with. It's like, no, this group of people want to make a difference around this. We want to diversify. We want living wage. We want whatever.
Yeah.
We want to reduce harm. And so if you're going to actively resist it, like if you can't even talk about it and look at it, then there may not be room for you in this group, in this situation.
Yeah. And it could also be a situation where if you or someone found themselves like part of a larger group where, for bringing up those sorts of questions, you are then labeled to be the scapegoat or the person who's stirring the pot or whatever.
A troublemaker.
Because that, from an unconscious perspective where you're not thinking about this stuff, like that can be a label that gets put on the person who is bringing it up. When it's, coming from a completely legitimate place, but it's a lot easier to discount that person if you include the label.
Well, that's where there's everybody else around it and be like, no, this person isn't making trouble because they're bringing it up.
Yeah.
It's like not bringing it up is far more dangerous.
Yeah.
That's not to say that, like, because a topic warrants acknowledgement, that by any means necessary. It's like, no, a lot of times you don't really got to bring,
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be really heated. That's a false sense of urgency.
Right.
That's brought into the mix.
Right.
That escalates the intensity, that makes it seem more like a fight or flight situation.
Yeah.
And that is also part of racism is fear. Weaponizing fear.
Yeah.
And intellectualism.
Intellectualism?
Yeah, making it dangerous to be smart. That's where many people have been looking at fascism more for obvious reasons in our time, and trying to understand the components of it. And the attack on intellectualism is one of the first. I didn't even realize this until I was trying to learn a little more. I thought it was more about picking on gay people or, ostracizing certain subgroups. But way before that comes attacking people's intelligence and their mental capacity and falsifying news and information, sucking the integrity out of the data, manipulating it. And that changed the oxygen in the room. And then these other elements of ostracizing subgroups and whatnot come at play.
Wow.
But one of the first is making it dangerous to be smart, to use your brain, to speak out, to question things.
Yeah.
You know, and when you look back in time, it's like philosophers were like, they often lost their lives because they challenged, they questioned.
Right.
And that is like, this is way bigger than us and what's happened in our lifetime.
Yeah.
You know,
totally.
this is a humanity thing where there are power structures where they've made it dangerous to think.
Yeah.
And they use fear and a lot of other very effective primal strategies to get folks to go along. And now,
yeah. And race has definitely been part of that project of the things that we put in the closet, the things that we put in the shadow, you know. And so I totally like. It sounds like a very simple thing when you say it. When one says it, like, we need to learn how to talk about this. It's actually really profound to learn how to talk about something that has been in our collective shadow closet for so long, and for all the times when someone has brought it up and another person has had a defensive reaction to it. Like, that's just such a really important piece. And then in that context, simply talking about it and almost like de-escalating it, you know, it's radical.
it is very radical.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
Also, like, just looking at racism, I want to, I guess, tend to this, since it's a theme of your whole podcast series. It's like, a lot of folks don't really understand what racism is. I think it's about being different from each other and having a hard time with that. And that's something different, or that's another challenge of ours culturally. But racism is about power and an abuse of power.
Who has power?
Who has power, and how is it being used? And it's, I would hope for more white people to wake up around that.
What does that framing help us understand that the other framing misses?
I think what it does is it realizes, like, this, or it's not like what your neighborhood looks like, or how many people, you know, what the skin color of people, or whether you have a friend that's different from you, or whether you like people that are different from you. It's about resources, access to resources and wellness, and how it's like, okay, this group of people might be all right, but they're all right because this large group of people are very not all right. Whether it's like the number of foster kids going into the prison system, you know, and how the prison system has been commercialized, or immigrants, or any of that. It's like waking up to that. And seeing connecting the dots, and breaking the illusion that they're okay because they did everything right, and the other people are not okay because they're messing up somewhere. They could have, but they chose not to.
Yeah.
Like, they have some choice.
Yeah.
It's like, sure, yeah, there is agency. Like, we all, when we wake up, can decide whether to stand up or stay laying down. Yes, we are on some level, most of us have some agency, but the majority of people are working with different options.
That's
and that's because of racism.
Yeah.
I mean, we could get into the patriarchy, but that's not one of the themes of the podcast. But it's like more white people need to, wake up to that.
Yeah.
And just because they're misunderstanding why so many people are upset and full of rage, generational rage around this. Yeah. And as well they should be, because it's gone on for way too long. And it's not because we don't know what's going on. Our intellectuals and our thought leaders have been expressing it in every channel, intellectually, academically, politically, creatively. They've been ringing the bell. And at this point, if people are actively making a choice not to wake up, but then there are some folks who are waking up, and you see them, like, because of the power of these images that we're seeing, like what's happening with ICE. It's kind of like back in the 50s watching someone get hosed, and attacked by dogs. It's like something's opening up in the brain, because the intellect is still there, and the brain's like, I cannot reconcile this. More and more people are like, I cannot, and they don't know what to do, but they know that it's not okay.
Yeah.
And folks are trying to, in their own way, figure out what they're going to do about it.
I really love that framing, Winter, because that really cuts through a lot of the fat of the entire situation. It's great. And why do you think it's critical for white people to see that?
Oh, because we're the ones who brought this to the mix. Collective we. It's like we're existing in the remnants of what people like us brought to this continent. And even poor white people, who one would think would more identify with the other people being exploited because they were really in the same boat, have somehow gotten twisted, and sick. We're sick. A lot of us, we became sick, and then there's a resistance to recognizing that we had to go through some really messed up psychological maneuvering to be okay with some stuff that we've been okay with for too long.
Yeah.
And I think it's okay to accept the ego and be like, I'm still a good person.
Sure.
I can still have joy. I still matter.
Yeah.
I can still exist. Just because all these messed up things are true does not mean that we can't. There's not value or worth in our existence, in our life.
Totally.
And that's another intellectual agility thing that just comes from flexing our brain and realizing these things can all be true at the same time.
Yes.
And that's, to be honest, why I live in Oakland, because I want my eyes open. I don't want there to be people living on the street, collapsed in the street on a drug, but I want to know it's happening. I don't ever want to live in a place that is like the Truman Show or something, where it's this manufactured reality that I get to enjoy because I'm turning a blind eye to the fact that other stuff is going on. And in communities like this, it's all here. The best and the worst, the thought leadership, the tragedy of, the struggle. it's here, and it's like that's where we're going to figure stuff out and try things, and
Yeah.
that's where I feel I belong. But I realize we can't all do that. Somebody's, going to be in small town Minnesota making their difference there.
Yeah.
And that's just, but I studied racism in college. It was my intention from my young adulthood to do unlearning racism work. And anyone who's really dove in deep into this topic recognizes that we will not gain the ground we need to if more white people don't, like, we're the holdouts. White people are the holdouts. But we have to get past our tipping point where there's more of us awake and ready to make change than there are holding on,
Yeah.
And it's not like I don't understand all the cycles of change. It's like, evolutionary speaking, there's always people at the back of the pack dragging their knuckles saying, no, we got to do it the same way we always did it. But the reality is, it's like at some point when it's not working and the water ran dry or whatever, the tribe had to move.
Yeah.
And that's what this is. I see this as that situation. Like,
Yeah.
We gotta move.
Yeah.
We gotta wake up.
Yeah. Is there anything that you see that gives you hope that we're already moving? And if you don't,
yeah. I mean, just one person, meeting one person. Like, we both have worked in finance. We both are creatives. Trying to help good things happen. We're both looking at ourselves. Like, just not being alone.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel
Like,
you.
it's really hard to. I'm sure there's a lot of folks that will listen to this that have at some point been in their life where they're like, man, I'm going through something, and I'm looking around and it doesn't seem like anybody can relate to this. And then you cross paths with someone who's had a unique experience,
Yeah.
that other people can't relate to. And what opens up when you find that commonality, even if there's a whole bunch of other things you don't have in common, just knowing and what that does to our spirit and like our capacity, to me, that shows me like what humanity is, what's possible for us.
I feel that. Yeah.
So there's, all day, every day.
All day, every day.
There's, if we look for it, it's there, all over the place.
Wow, that was a good combo. I feel like that was just, you're very easy to talk to. Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. Thanks for your time, Winter. Yeah.
You're welcome.
So there's a point Winter just made here at the end of the conversation that is worth underlining, about racism really being about power. You bring up race with someone and they say, I've never seen any racism. And you say, well, race is more about resource allocation than it is about what your friend group looks like. And I remember, because I used to have responses like this. I would have said to you something like, oh, well, that's zero-sum thinking about resource allocation. It's really a fault in your state of mind to think that, this group over here is not doing well. Therefore, this other group over here has to be exploiting them, or this group over here is doing really well, and therefore it must come at the expense of this other group of people. And where that thinking is true is that it is a construct that zero-sum thinking exists. That is to say, it's something that we've built. And it's not necessary for us to construct a society based on zero-sum thinking. That's all totally true. But the fact is that we have constructed a society that is based on zero-sum thinking. We have a society that treats people differently based on skin color. The society is enforcing a zero-sum situation through its own laws. And it's a society that preaches equality on top of that. So it's a deeply hypocritical situation. And there's nothing stopping us from building a society that isn't organized according to racial hierarchy. It's our choice. And my own sense is that we probably have to figure this out within our own smaller groups and subcultures before it filters out further. I could be wrong about that too. Maybe both happen at the same time in a more co-creative fashion. It's not like I really know. But Winter makes another point really well. There's a tendency in this society to think in binaries. Some folks love to emphasize personal responsibility, and some people love to emphasize the environment that we're shaped by. And the reality is just that it's both. And Winter explains this really simply. In this society, you're playing with a different set of cards depending on whether you're white or you're not. If you're not white, you have fewer resources, fewer opportunities, just by virtue of what society hands you. That, of course, doesn't erase how you play those cards, but making it all about personal responsibility misses the point that some people are dealt fewer cards to begin with. Okay, that's enough for this one. This is Eric. Really good to be with you. Hope you enjoyed the conversation. And I'll see you again very soon. Okay, peace. I'm Eric, and this has been White People, Black Music, and Liberation. If this message speaks to you and you want to be part of the journey, head to whitepeopleblackmusic.com and let's build a world where liberation is for everyone.